I'm Ellis Martin today with Gia Ciambotti, singer, songwriter, and performing artist. Gia, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you.
I've seen you perform several times. What makes your music so special and is as simple as your voice, and that must be a reflection of your soul. What is it about you that makes your music so soulful?
I think that's just a lot of heart. I care a lot about what I'm doing. I care about what I sound like. I love other singers. I love listening to music still. Most of the music that I really am drawn to is played with a lot of heart. You know, it's just all God in there. Different expressions. And that touches me. And so that's what I put forth.
You mentioned the heart. To me, that translates into love. So your music is an expression of love.
Yeah. I feel very strongly and very passionately about music and about art in general. That we all, even if that art happens to be a meal that someone cooked or a garden that someone planted or a mission statement, you know, whatever it is that your expression is, when it's done with heart and love, it really comes across. We were talking earlier about how you live in a society that doesn't foster living from your heart, and I think what's really interesting is that a lot of the things that rise above that really touch people are people who live from their heart. And it really does, the cream rises to the top, and it's very evident.
So no matter what you do with your time in this life, if it's done with love from the heart, that's living a life passionately.
I would think, yeah. You know, feed the kids. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, anyone who came over to the house got fed. It didn't matter how much food there was to begin with. There was always enough. If, you know, a few extra people walked in the door, and that was how my mom was. She would just add things and make new things and throw some potatoes in or whatever it was. It was always enough. That was her expression, you know. She always made a nice home and wanted to feed everybody, and I get that.
And that expression is the human experience, I would think. That's what we do here. We express from the heart to each other, with each other, through acts of love and kindness. That's the ideal, but that's not the society.
Not necessarily the society. I think it's the veneer sometimes of society, but, you know, our culture is built on commerce, and commerce is a cold medium. You know, it's actually just one of God's expressions, but we have elevated money to a place where have and have not, and it's elevated to an importance beyond the spirit. And I think that if you live from your spirit, I feel that that's the only place that you can truly live from that's really satisfying.
How do you connect that with a city like Los Angeles? How does a person who lives, breathes, and works, creates, sings from the heart, function in a city which has been described by other guests on the show as disconnected?
Well, I've learned to disconnect from my ego and connect with my spirit. And I do that through all different kinds of mediums. I study different books. I listen to different spiritual teachers and truths and sit with people like you and discuss this. I listen to people, and I walk in nature and look at the sky and express love, make connections, make good meals. I don't engage in the mentality that is ego-based as much.
Which is what Los Angeles was more recently than hundreds of years ago was, you know, represents. It represents the antithesis of who you are, and many of us are here.
Well, it's funny because in a sense it is very entertaining in that way. You know, a lot of flashy cars and plastic surgery and skinny beyond skinny, and yet we are all just spirit on the inside. And when you can look at a person and just see that they're spirit and they just want love as much as you do, and they just want to express as much as you do, then we all have something really in common. And I try to live from there.
Tell us about Right as Rain. How is that created?
Well, a guy gave me his phone number, or I gave him my phone number, and I really was interested in him, and I had this feeling that was amazing. I wrote the song behind it. I didn't even know what the title meant. I thought it was possibly a farm term, right as rain, because when the rain comes, things grow. But actually, I learned later that it's a term. Back in the Dark Ages, rainwater was good to drink. Water was sometimes not potable, and it could be tainted. But if it was right as rain, then it was good water. I wrote that song based on a feeling about... I heard from the pulpit a sermon about that was about a woman who was trapped in a horrible marriage, in a very, very bad marriage, and she lived in another country. And she asked her husband for a divorce, and he told her no. And so she began to write letters to herself from someone that she wished that she knew. And eventually her husband found the letters and wanted to know who were they from. And she said, I wrote them. And he said, that's not possible. This person loves you so much. And, he loves you so much that he should have you. And he granted her a divorce based on that. So that's kind of where I wrote Right as Rain from. It was like, I wrote it from a perspective of something I wished I had more than it was my love letter to myself.
Here's Right as Rain by Gia Ciambotti.
Slip into